of our fruits are nothing but sugar. And so I'm even avoiding fruits at this point. I'm just going to go nothing but just vegetables, making sure I'm just drinking nothing but water, and that's pretty much it right now. I mean, when you're going through something, when you want to boost your immune system, you don't want to keep your immune system busy. Okay? So we always like, when we're sick, right away as humans we think we better eat something, right? I mean, we better stay fed. Well, when a dog or a cat gets sick, what do they do? They go and they sit and they lay and they don't drink, they don't eat, they don't do anything. Is that intelligent or not intelligent? And then we're trying to feed them. That the body needs to rest. It needs to be just, so you don't have to force yourself to eat, especially all of your refined sugar. So if you're going to eat anything, just eat a little bit of vegetables, some greens, and that'll boost you. But you got to get plenty of sleep. You need to avoid your stress, avoid the hospitals, avoid vaccines. Those all are things that just stimulate your immunity. Okay, so you don't want to do those things. You want to keep everything on the minimum. Also, you're going to megadose. Now, things that they're not telling us, okay, this is another thing. This is all about avoid flu shots, take vitamin D instead. So basically, I was going through this. This is just incredible. So let's think about this, okay? It's a well-known medical fact that the influenza virus always gets worse during the winter months north of the equator and the summer months south of the equator, which is their winter there. Okay, so what does that mean? We're getting less hours of sunlight, which lessens during the winter. The people living there become vitamin D deficient and are more susceptible to influenza viruses. Does that make sense? So these flus are around. They don't just they're not like cicadas and they just go hibernate and then they come out every once in a while. These flus are around nonstop all year round. Why does it hit us harder in the wintertime? Because we're not in the sun, so we're vitamin D deficient. So our immune systems do this. And so guess what? Have you ever thought about that? Not really. Who should be telling us this? It only makes sense, right? And so basically it goes through, vitamin D is perhaps the single most powerful nutrient and is known in the universe for preventing influenza, and yet the Obama White House wouldn't dare to utter a word about the American people, even though that it is said to be a devastating global pandemic that could literally largely be halted by vitamin D. Okay, so do you guys have to understand, if this thing was so dangerous, why wouldn't they be telling us about this? Does that make sense? Vitamin D, what do they get if you take vitamin D? Nothing. Okay, so there's nothing in it for them. And we've already went through why they want to get every man, woman, and child in for a flu vaccine, which we already know people who are taking the vaccines are doing what? They're dying more frequently. They're having all these outbreaks from them. But basically they're going to wash it off. And so it's basically crazy, because I was reading the research on where they got the 36,000 deaths. Do you guys want to know where that comes from? Well, it says that it comes from the National Vital Statistics Report compiled by the CDC. Shows that 1,100 deaths a year occur from the influenza alone. Okay? Bacterial pneumonia causes 60,000 deaths a year, mainly in the winter, when surveillance data show the increased prevalence of the flu virus. Using this mathematical regression model, officials estimate that the flu virus triggers some of the wintertime deaths from pneumonia, along with deaths in people with cardiovascular disease and chronic illnesses. More than 34,000 of those 36,000 deaths from the flu are what officials estimate are influenza-associated pneumonia and cardiovascular deaths. So 36,000 people are not dying of the flu. 34,000 people died of pneumonia and cardiovascular, which they say was associated from the flu virus. They would have died anyways. So literally what the statistics are showing, that 1,100 people are dying from the flu alone through the years. And basically if you break that down, it's just crazy to see where they get their research. I mean, here's one of the widely quoted studies. Okay, this was done by 1,800 volunteers aged 60 and over were randomized to receive the flu vaccine and the placebo. Okay? The flu shot was given, and the placebo, which was just a saline solution. In the vaccinated group, 2% of the people got the flu. Flu shots reduced the absolute risk of contracting the influenza by a meager 1%. So actually what they're saying was the people who did get the flu vaccine, they were 50%, they were seemingly impressive, 50% less greater to get the flu. Okay, so it's like, well, wow, that really works. Well, if you look at the research, the flu shots reduced the absolute risk of contracting the influenza by a meager 1%, not 50%. And in actuality, over 100 people that have had the flu shot, only one of them will benefit from it. This is a medical prevalence, the number needed to treat in order to achieve any benefit from the treatment. A flu shot provides no benefit for the other 99% of the people, and yet all 100% of them are at risk from getting what the vaccine gives you anyways, which is the Guillain-Barré and all these things. So to break all that down, basically what it's saying is the research that they're showing us isn't true research. They basically skew the numbers to make it look like, oh my God, all these people are being saved 50%. It's actually one out of 100 that they said actually benefited from this. And so, I mean, we can go on and on. Megadose from vitamin C, vitamin D, and garlic. Okay, so these things are going to boost your immunity. So we sell this vitamin C. Vitamin C is essential. You need to be vitamin C and vitamin D. Go ahead. Well, what I megadose the vitamin D is 2,500 milligrams. Okay, 2,500 milligrams. Vitamin C, same thing. You want to get about 2,000 milligrams. Okay, garlic, if you can handle it, if your immune system, it's a known antimicrobial, antibiotic. So garlic is huge. So if you guys can handle garlic, eat as much of it as you can. Okay.
They used to tell me when you're sick, drink a lot of orange juice. Now, that's got a lot of sugar.
You don't want to do orange juice. Orange juice is all sugar. So your vitamin C is not coming from orange juice. So we talked about that already. Is there vitamin C in orange juice? Yes. So let's think about this. If I cut an orange open, how fast do I have to eat it before it starts to wither and die? Immediately. Or what happens, it starts to oxidize, right? Just like an apple would, okay? So now, what they're doing is they're squeezing all these oranges into a big container. How fast would we have to drink it to get the vitamin D equivalent, or vitamin C equivalent? Immediately. So what do? They pasteurize it, what that means is they heat it up, okay? So they heat up the vitamin C, which does what to the vitamin C? Destroys every single bit of your vitamin C. So then what do is they just bombard all this sugar. They just put huge amounts of sugar in it, and then they synthetically add vitamin C at the end. So now here you are. Well, my kids have vitamin C every morning. They have a glass of Tropicana. There is no vitamin C in that orange juice that you can actually use for immunity. Because what's it doing? You're being bombarded with all that sugar anyways. What does sugar do to the immune system? Do you guys see that? So, I mean, it's impossible. So, no, that isn't where you're going to get your vitamin C from. Okay? And so, let's go through exercise. What does exercise do? It is absolutely huge. It moves the body. It stimulates your immune system. It gets everything going. So exercise is going to be absolutely essential. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to get in there and start exercising more, get the body going, stimulate the immune system that way. You need to, okay, so wash your hands. I just put this on here because I know everyone wanted to know. So we had some patients coming in here with all their hand sanitizers. Is hand sanitizer good for you? No. Okay. So why isn't it?
Because it kills all the germs on your hands that you need to get.
There you go. So you have bacteria that's meant to be on your hands. You have bacteria that's meant to be in your stomach. You have bacteria that's meant to be in your GI tract, okay? So are these good or bad bacteria? Good. Okay, you need these things. And so the minute you start taking an antibiotic, what do they tell you not to do? Go into the sun. Why? Because the antibiotics do what to the bacteria on your skin? Kill them. And so now are you protected from the sun's rays and everything else? No, so now you've just completely dampened your immune system, and this is what you're doing for your kids with ear infections. Do you see? So what you have to understand is antibiotics